Hey fam!
Let's be
3D.
Hey fam, thank you for joining us once again. Like we mentioned last week, we had to split up part one into part one of part one and part two of part one. So we are about to give y'all part two of part one, starting on our 2014 concert tour and ending with the end of our trip of 2015. So
Good stuff.
hope you enjoy, and
here we go. Anyway, 2014,
we did
the week
Dun,
after
dun, dun.
we stayed 2 weeks.
We
Or
stayed
16 days.
16 days.
16 days. We Darko Adamic set us up a concert tour.
Yeah. Plus sightseeing.
Plus sightseeing. We decided we'd never
Somehow
do
we
this
thought
before.
that was a
Mountain
good
walk
idea.
and then
We
play
never-
a concert. That's a great idea.
I would be up for it now because we're so used to doing a lot during the day and then playing at night.
Yes.
But we
We
weren't
were
used
not
to that.
used to it.
Oh, we were
in
shot
2014.
every night.
My
Oh my
goodness.
word.
But it was
Seriously,
fun. It
this
was
is
still
kind
fun,
of
though.
funny. This is kind of funny because I've told them I lost 7 pounds, which I don't know if I needed to lose those 7 pounds or not. But
It happened.
it was like because we would be hiking a mountain, going and seeing this castle. I mean, the sightseeing was amazing, but then
Yeah.
you would play a concert at night. And
Well,
you would
and you
only
get hot
And
and
the
eat
sweaty,
concerts-
twice
you
a
don't
day.
shower.
I gotta
before.
explain for our people what a concert in Serbia
Yeah.
meant.
It's an hour and a half
Okay.
at least.
No.
2 hours.
No.
Two
Two.
at least.
Two.
because
'Cause
of translation.
Translation.
We played a lot more songs, but also the translations.
Yes.
That I don't want to say it slowed down the talking; it just extended the talking.
Yeah.
It doubled it
And,
basically.
and
Yeah.
this is, and by the way, this is the live concerts. This is, I mean, our live streams are now. I mean, we've done 2 hours, we've done 3 hours, but
We
back
weren't used
then,
to doing
we
2
weren't
hours.
used
We were
to
not.
that. So
No.
that was
There was one that
That was
went
a long
3
night.
hours.
That
I can't-
was
it
Air to
the
the
next
Beach.
year?
That was-
2016. No, that was It
Oh.
was consistently Bachki Petrovac
Yes,
because
because-
we have an amazing
But it was
translator.
Oh, Miroslav.
And
And
it would just
just
talk
it would be
anyway.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Stuff.
that was the first year we had bought a uke bass. So I was
Yes,
playing
we
the
had a
uke
bass.
with an amp
Right.
and with the rubber strings and stuff. And was that the year that I almost overheated in Erdevik?
Oh yeah,
I think
because
so.
they would
So-
close the windows, and there
So-
is
That
no
year
air.
was
I
very
mentioned,
hot.
I mentioned their superstition, right?
Yeah.
So one of their superstitions that
if
they
they open
that
the
they still
windows,
believe is
the devils will come in.
Is the
No,
evil
it's about getting cold.
No, well, it's
And
also
dying.
the evil spirits at night. That's
Well,
one of it.
Anyway, what do they
among
call
the
it?
older ladies.
Well, it
It
Oh, what do they
starts
call
with
that?
an N.
Yeah,
Um,
they call it something.
because I tease my friends about it all the time.
What?
Shoot.
It starts with an N. What they
What?
call like all these things that you never do. Like don't go out in 30-degree weather with wet hair, which I did all the time. Don't leave the window open.
what do
Always
they
wear
call
shoes
that?
in the
That's
house.
gonna drive me nuts
I
now.
It starts with an N.
I have no idea.
Like I want to say
Y'all help us
pneumonia,
out there.
but that
No,
is
that's not
a
it.
guy's name that we knew.
Anyway, the
point is-
Erdevik,
Anyway,
the
They
church,
kept all the windows and doors closed.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we're about an hour and a half
and
hour and a half in.
It was
Naomi had to
101.
go outside
her face
Yes.
was beet
to
red.
get fresh air.
Yes, because
And then
I
one of the
was
deacons
very
gets up,
dehydrated.
or elders or whatever,
Yeah.
gets up and opens the windows.
We're
and
like, now
inside,
you
we're
do
thinking
that.
like, now you think of that?
Right.
Anyway,
All right, Joshua from
was-
shoulder
yeah,
to wrist.
His shirt
Both
was
arms
soaked.
were drenched. I mean, you
still
could
have
see
never been. I mean, well, every time in Serbia, there's at least one concert that I'm that way.
Yeah,
You're
it's
like
just
drenched.
it's hilarious.
That-
Remember Montenegro.
Sweat.
Right, exactly. So, right quick, pop quiz. Where did we play the 6 concerts in that week?
I
Go.
knew Erdevik.
Kuranovac,
No,
Peretin,
go in order,
Erdevik.
Abby.
I can't go in order. I just
You're
remember.
basically going in
You're
order. though.
going in order
close.
right there.
Okay.
Start
Let's
all over
see.
because I talked over you. Sorry.
Koranovac, which
Yes.
we only played there once. Peretin,
Yes.
Erdevik.
Yes.
I don't remember the
Come
other.
on.
Was it?
We
Does
did Pachki
Joshua
Petrovac
remember?
that year too.
No.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
We
we did.
did.
Yeah, that was
We
So that's
did.
one of them.
That's one of them, but that's the last one.
Niš too, right?
No,
No,
Novi Sad.
not neat.
Novi
Sad.
Sad
One more.
and Moravica because
yes,
that's where we
Moravica.
met.
There
you
Yeah,
go.
which we
Because
will get into
Moravica
later.
started our whole
Okay, but
2015
real quick,
thing.
back to
Yes.
the hospitality thing. What's
Yes.
the first one?
Koronavats.
Yes, I
Koronavats.
was thinking the same thing. Telepathic twins.
It's a twin thing.
Oh, the pastor's
Anyway,
wife. Tell him about the pastor's wife.
We stay again throughout this whole trip. We stayed in people's homes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
people of the church. So at Koronavats, we stayed at the pastor and his wife's home. And seriously, Naomi and I got like the top floor. And so like there was this little attic space. I mean, it's what
Oh,
they
I
had.
don't
What they
remember
had.
that.
What they had,
Nice.
they shared.
I'm
And
impressed,
that's
Abby.
the beauty of hospitality. I remember where I slept.
Yes.
Anyway, but we sat down to eat with them, and the wife never sat down.
Never.
It was a 4-course
Never ever
dinner.
sat down. 4-course. She had an they always started out with like this broth
Soup.
type thing,
Yeah.
soup.
Apple side. Yeah.
And so you
apple cider.
ate that, and then they came out with like salad and meat,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then they had dessert, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So that was
Yes.
3. 4.
and we
yeah.
in our
Basically
home
4.
we clear our dishes when we're done, and we
But-
started to do that. This was the first big meal we had at
Yes.
house because we only had 2 concerts in 2013.
And we didn't
Right.
really stay at a house.
we didn't
house.
stay in someone's house, so we started to clear our dishes, and she's like shaking her head and talking at us real fast and loud in Serbian, and we're like, what? And Miss
No,
Julie
she didn't say anything. Julie was the one who
Oh,
told
stopped
mom,
us.
said, don't do that. She will be insulted.
insulted.
Yes.
So we let her do the dish. It was just really
Yeah.
cool. A cool picture of that year where we really got to
Service
see
and
Serbian. We did
hospitality,
stay in a
anyway.
hotel though in Novi Sad once.
One time.
That
Which
one
was really
time.
cool.
Anyway.
Which now, whenever we're in a hotel, that we're like, oh, it's like Serbia. It's just, I don't know, a
If
vibe.
we see anything, we're just like,
Was that the
oh,
first time we stayed in that
Serbia.
hostel, or was that was in
Which
Belgrade?
one?
that
Which
was
one?
the next year.
The hostel.
next
Well, the
year.
first time
no, we
was in
did.
2013 because that was
We went
our
to the
little
zoo.
sightseeing day.
We went to
Oh,
the
Oh,
okay.
zoo.
yeah. A mini
But-
Yeah.
sightseeing.
But anyway,
Sightseeing day.
with the
More of
that concert tour, I mean, it was exhausting,
Yes.
but it was
So
still
good. We
so
loved
much
it.
fun.
It was
so
so
much
fun.
The cool thing about the Moravica concert, and every time we did a concert there, this was the way it was, is they had 2 translators.
Yes.
So we effectively doubled again
Yes.
our talking. So we would say something, and then the Serbian translator
Serbian
would
Yes.
translate
translator would
what
say
mom
something.
said, and then the
Oh,
Hungarian
yes.
translator would
Would
translate what the
translate.
Serbian
Serbian
translator
It
Because
was
said.
so
again,
fun.
just that
It
region
was
of
awesome.
That
Serbia.
concert was probably pushing 3
it was
hours
very
as well.
long.
Yeah.
But
Now-
anyway,
But the
Now,
other
of course,
thing-
what's so funny
the other
was
thing
I
was-
could slightly get through Serbian because I'd been used to it.
Yeah.
But as soon as the guy
Oh,
started
Lord.
talking Hungarian, I
like-
went, okay, you lost me.
It was
Oh,
like
yeah.
one big long word.
because you started to recognize Serbian things.
Yes.
And honestly, Serbian, they have the Latin and then the Cyrillic.
the
Yeah,
Latinic
Latinic, and Cyrillic.
alphabets.
alphabets. Of course, I never got to read the Cyrillic. I'm just like, it's
I
weird
could,
shapes and
but
everything.
anyway.
Jacob learned.
Not to brag.
Anyway, but
He's totally
I had goals to learn Serbian, but I really am not good at languages. I couldn't roll my R's. I was, so it's just, that's never been a passion of mine.
Of course, you
But I
got
did
those
try a
kids
few
that walked
times.
up to you and go, "Hey, say ch." And
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
you say it, and
Ma-
they're like, "No," ch. And you're going, ch.
Because
And
they
he's
have,
like, "No,"
I don't
ch.
know.
And
they
you're
have
going,
3 different
forget it.
C's.
And you're just
They
like,
have 3 different C's.
whatever.
Was that the year that we stayed with Andrea and her mom before Andrea got married, or was that the next year?
"Yes, it
I
was
think that was that year.
2014." Yeah.
Was it
Oh
that
wait, no.
year?
No,
I think it
that was
the next-
2015.
Okay,
We
sorry.
stayed at the Slavic's house.
Yes.
Yes. 2014 was the year we
Daniela.
stayed
Oh,
at.
Emil
we
and
all
Daniela.
stayed in
Daniela.
one house.
We all
we
stayed in
split
one
up
house.
the next year, which we'll get
The
into
next
that.
year we split up.
I
into,
remember
like,
that.
3
I
different
remember that
houses.
vividly because that night, both of my calves Charlie horsed on me
Really?
in the night. Yes,
That would
Bless
be
your
both
from
of them.
hiking the day before, and then they decided to play a soccer game before the concert in Erdvik. So that's
Yeah,
what
which
happened
mom
there.
wasn't really
Lacking
happy
in
about
minerals.
that.
Jacob.
Hey,
Anyway,
we were
now we know
bonding.
that's
We
a
were
lack of
bonding.
minerals.
Guy
Yes.
time.
You weren't drinking enough water.
No,
We
I
didn't
never
learn
do.
that
But
till
anyway,
later.
Anyway, but
so
what
one more
saying?
cool thing about Mordovica
Well,
before
Go ahead,
you
then
on.
Abby's turn.
no,
was
it's fine.
the way
Forget
that
it.
okay, so Serbian people clap normally,
Right.
like we do. Okay,
yes.
I remember this.
and if they enjoy us, they'll stand up. Stand in ovation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hungarian people, no.
Don't.
They
Don't
do
do
it
that.
differently. They'll clap and then they'll all start clapping
in unison.
rhythmically
Slow
in unison,
clapping.
slow clapping.
Yes.
It freaked us out the first time.
The
We're like,
first time we were going,
we looked at him like,
thank
what's
you,
going on?
Thank you.
it's like, do they
Way
want us
of
to
giving.
stop or,
Or-
play the song again?
They're
No,
still going after 5 minutes. Okay, thank you,
it's
thank
not
you.
5
It wasn't
minutes.
that
But
long.
it was
No,
their
it's
version of a
funny.
standing ovation.
Yeah,
So they would
I
clap
remember
and
that.
then they'd start the slow
Yes.
clap. And there were a couple of times it actually started speeding up.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know, it
do
was
we
really
want
cool.
to tie? Oh, what did you want to say before
I was
we go
just
back to
saying-
Motivita
no,
and
no,
tie
it's good.
into
I was really just
2015?
talking about the language and that's the Slavic, the Latinic alphabet is easy to read. And
Well, it's the
so
same as ours.
I-
Adding their
Yeah, I
other-
don't know if I
Ish.
struggle with it as much as I used to, but I was so used to reading Latinic and sounding out words Latinic that if I did not know how to sound out a word in English, I would start to say it
Yeah.
as I would sound it
yeah.
out in Latinic because every letter has one sound. And so it was like so simple. And I'm like, why is English not this simple?
Because in English, well, that's the way they'd spell.
Exactly.
In English,
Yes.
we spell, like, for instance, the word what. We spell it W-H-A-T.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they would spell it with the sounds. So, well, however you spell what, or however you say it. They would spell things out using the sound of the
Yeah.
letter rather than the letter.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Exactly.
so like
Anyway.
It was interesting.
instead of T, it was T. That's the
Yeah.
letter T.
Well,
Anyway.
I remember when Boy
like
was
like
reading
like Tigger in Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
T-I-double-G-R.
Yeah.
That's spelled.
Or it's
That
like
spells Tigger.
tomato without the
The
tuh.
T.
Right.
Abby.
Anyway, so that kind of wraps up for 2014.
Okay, I was ready to
last,
go.
last
Wait a
thing.
Josh has
Last
one
thing,
more
and this kind of goes for all years, is
years?
all of the years we did concerts in Serbia, is translating songs, and that they probably had. It took them quite a while to get them.
yes.
So we got to the point where we were handing the words of the songs so they could figure it out beforehand. But the one song they could never ever get was Orange Blossom Special.
Yes.
I mean, I'll never
Oh,
forget
yeah.
Miroslav the first time at Bachki Petrovac. He was like, "What?"
So he was like
And he was-
orange flower special song.
we started
We're like,
laughing.
We were
that
like,
works.
that'll work.
Sure.
But
that's
then,
what
but then he made it his mission to figure out how to translate it, and I think he finally did it in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
and
finally
he did
got
it in
it.
2018. And he was like, "Yes,
Yes.
I got it."
Oh, he was cool.
Oh.
He was
Anyway,
probably
one of our
we
best
had him
translators.
5 years, 2014 to 2018. He was our
Yes,
Yes.
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 Anyway, so kind of wrapping up 2014, we did play at Stara Morovica, the Hungarian,
Yes.
in very close to Hungary, so that you had both Serbian and
Well,
Hungarian.
the thing of it is, a little bit of a history lesson.
as
North,
long as it's a little.
it's a little one.
I really
north
feel
of
like
Belgrade,
you know,
in-
this is going to be a long
No,
episode.
it's okay.
We may need to split this one too. No.
No, it's fine. But okay, so Belgrade, the capital of Serbia, is kind of in the middle
Right.
of Serbia.
Right.
Richard,
Just work with
in
me
the
here.
middle of Serbia.
Whatever. Anyway, point is,
People
north
don't know
of
where that is.
Belgrade, way back in the day, was at the northern end of the country.
Right.
There's a line north of Belgrade that separates Vojvodina, which is like a province state
Yeah.
Yes.
in Serbia. Anyway, that part of the country used to be part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire
Right.
prior to World War One.
Yes.
So there are still a lot of Hungarians
Right.
who lived there when it was still part of Hungary.
Yes.
But then that land was given to Yugoslavia after World War One, but
Right.
those Hungarians never moved.
Right.
So that's why
that's
there are
why-
Hungarian churches in northern
Your
Serbia.
history lesson for the
For
day.
the day.
Anyway,
Anyway.
so the Hungarian pastor of Stara Morovica,
Zoltan.
yes.
Right? Okay.
he
Oh, you remembered his name.
I couldn't
Yes.
remember it yesterday
Zoltan-
for
I
some reason.
couldn't
Zoltan
think
Yule.
of it yesterday.
anyway, he has 3 kids, 4 kids, 5.
He has
Dude, he's like 6.
hold
6
on.
kids. There's the older boy that I don't remember
6.
his name.
Mate.
Okay.
Mate.
And then there
I don't
was
think I ever met him.
Mate.
We did
Sorry.
once.
Mate.
and then
Dora,
Dora,
Sara.
Shmuel.
Shamuel.
I almost said Shmuel. That's
It's
from the
Shara,
Chosen.
though,
It's
because that's
Shamuel
Oh, right. It
In
is.
Hungarian.
It is
Kata.
Shada.
and Kata.
Kata and Johanna.
oh, the young girl.
Johanna.
Yes.
The little girl.
Oh,
Did
Little,
Little one.
like 3, 4,
Yeah.
5.
I
something
need
like
to
that.
go back
Anyway,
through our pictures.
they did kids camps as well.
Yeah.
And so part of us
That's
doing
actually
our
where
concert,
we performed.
yeah, it was at the
I didn't know if y'all had mentioned that yet.
right. Well, that was the church and the campground and
All
all
together,
that cool
yes.
stuff. Anyway, so part of our when we would do concerts is we'd talk about what we were doing at Merch FC.
Mm-hmm.
And when he heard what we were doing in Merch FC, he's like, why don't y'all come do it in Moravica for Hungarian kids?
Yes.
Yes.
And we were like, well, hey, sure, why not? And so next year, this gets into 2015,
Yeah.
we
Moving right
planned
along.
a week-long camp there for Hungarian kids.
Yes.
But did we do that first? We did that first.
Yes,
we
we did
did.
that
We did that
first.
first in 2015.
Yes.
We
Well,
had
again,
we
real
had-
our driver, Mike.
Oh yeah,
Mike-
Mike was awesome. Didn't know a
Yes.
whole lot of English. Thankfully, he knew Serbian,
and
so we
Jacob
could talk
by
to him.
then was pretty fluent, so
I knew enough to get me in trouble.
Yes.
good enough
But
to.
as far as English, all he knew was yes
And no.
and maybe. And we go,
And maybe go.
is it either?
yes.
And there were a couple other things like Cindy. He
He
knew
learned
mom's
mom's name.
Yeah,
They
he
got
learned
along very well.
mom's name, and he'd say, "Cindy, we go," or something like that. I
No,
don't know.
no, yes.
No, yes, yes.
He
And
was
of course
who
we go, what is
Which
it?
one?
It's like Bucky. Well, what is it?
And we met his wife Martha. She was
yes,
very
who
kind.
knew considerably more English.
yes.
She knew a lot more English than he
So anyway, he picked us up in Belgrade
Yes.
and drove us to Moravica.
No security issues for those 2 years.
Thankfully.
Thank goodness.
But when we went there, and we had a lot of kids.
We had 38, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
The difference between this one is they had
A higher age.
Well, they had a higher age. I mean, we're talking young adult, which
Yeah, there was a
older
few of
than
them
us.
that
Older
were
than
older
us. So
than
like
us.
21-ish?
No.
There
I
was a
think
couple that
there
were
were a couple like were
23.
23,
Really?
24.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they had space for overnight campers.
Yes.
But about half of our campers were
Yeah.
day campers.
They would walk
Because
from
the
home.
camp, was in the middle of the village.
Right.
Right.
So they would show up about 9-ish
Something like that.
for the Bible lesson. They'd have the Bible lesson. We'd have our lesson. We'd do lunch, some games, have another
afternoon
lesson, and then they would leave about 4.
They would leave before
Yes.
dinner
Right.
if they were going
So that
home.
was our
Four-ish.
first experience of a day camp
Right.
type
Yes.
thing.
Well, it was a very different atmosphere than
Right.
Merch IFC. So we were used to Merch IFC. So I remember, you're just adjusting. You're like, and
No, and no offense, they did not have since they were not an organization, it was just a church.
Yeah.
Their planning wasn't as detailed,
Yeah.
so we had to
Yeah.
figure a lot of stuff out.
Well,
yeah,
and
this year-
the
Go
Hungarian
ahead.
culture is different too.
Yes,
we had
it
to learn
is.
another completely
Culture.
different culture.
Yes.
The way they do things, the way they talk, the way they think. It was
was
different
very
than the Serbians we
interesting.
were used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had a new book
Yes.
this year. We had
But that
3
didn't even help
sections.
us that year.
I'm going
Remember
to
that?
let you talk about that, but I just want to explain quickly. The new book, we had 3 sections. Beginner, which was the first 6 songs actually from the first 2 years. Then intermediate, we had 6 more, 6 or 3 or 6.
I don't remember. It wasn't
We
6.
had
The next
another
2016 was
section-
the year that we
I
made
don't
like 6
I don't
songs.
think we didn't have it broken into sections. We added songs.
we did
Because
add
see
songs.
thought we
in
broke
the
it up that
Serbian
year.
kids
Okay.
camp
It was the next year that we did that.
didn't have them
okay.
in a beginner, advanced, or intermediate yet. And same
We
thing
just
even
added
with the
songs.
teens. Because which
Yeah.
leads
So wait,
into
here's
Jacob's
why-
Let's
and
make sure
my
they don't
story.
get confused. So we just
Here's-
added songs.
Right. We just
just
added about 4 or
expanded-
5 songs, I
Okay.
think.
Because remember, it
6
was
more
12.
songs. So we had 12.
Okay.
So, but at the Hungarian camp, we had a massive variety
Yes.
of musical talent. In fact,
Right.
I don't think we ever had that kind of variety
Not
ever again.
Not after that.
So we split them into 3 groups. That was the first time we did the beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
Right.
Now, the intermediate and advanced had they all had the same music,
Mm-hmm.
but we were dealing with like music school students,
Right.
Yeah.
kids who knew
Music.
music, and then the absolute
Those who
beginners.
didn't.
Right.
And
So
they didn't. that was the first year that I remember mom 'cause
Teaching
mom,
rhythm.
Mom always taught the beginners. but she had to start with like rhythm and clapping
Right.
and
Right.
rhythm
So
and all that. Cool
if
stuff.
I remember right, Mom, Abigail, John Mark, and Justice or John Mark, excuse me, Justice was with that. Were with the beginners. Naomi
Yes.
had her own group by herself
No
Without a translator.
translator.
See, they were a little short-handed at
and
this
then
camp.
and then me and Jacob were with the
I
more
had-
advanced students.
I took aside a few.
You
as
did
well.
take aside a few? Okay.
There were a
I
couple
think
of
we
times, yeah.
originally split in 2 groups because like Mom was like, all right, you get all these older students that know, because Jacob and Joshua even then were, crazy about music, new music theory and stuff, and they could speak
Still do, I
these
hope.
guys. Yeah, y'all do. But speak these guys' languages, guys and girls. It was mixed group.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they took them aside from the first. I mean, we sat them together, handed out ukuleles, and they started playing all over them. And
No,
we're
no,
like,
no. What we said was anybody above the age of 15, from
Yes.
Go with
15
these
and
two.
up with musical training, go with me and
Jacob
Jacob.
and Joshua.
So we were like, okay. Anyway, and then
I
y'all,
was originally actually with Mom and them.
but then you took
But
aside
then,
those
for
4
some
or
reason,
5.
I don't remember
There
why,
were 4 or
or
5
if they
girls.
came from your group. I don't remember.
No, they did
No,
not come
they came from
us.
Mom's group.
Okay.
But they were good enough to be split.
They were
up into
between the
another group.
ages of 12 and 15.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
And then mine was around more like, I would say, 8 to 12.
Yeah, Mom
Yeah.
had the
And
real
mine
They
little
were
kids.
slightly
But-
faster than Mom's group, but not.
They
in
were
y'all's.
the thing was they were slightly faster than mom's group, so we wanted to be able for every student to learn as much as they could.
Right.
So that's
Exactly.
why when you had like 6 people who were able to teach.
Right.
So
I did not
took
have a
aside. I
translator.
only had like 4 or 5,
Right. Same
and
with
they were
Naomi.
usually under the ages of 12.
Yeah.
But
Joshua and I had about 7 or 8, I think.
Right. And y'all didn't need a translator
We
because
okay.
all of
well,
them knew English, right?
there was one. Nora knew English.
Oh, we did. We
I
did
think
have
we had
trans-
You
We had
did? Okay.
Christian.
right.
Christian, I remember
Yes.
Christian.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay,
Which is
So-
really cool about him. He's now doing like composing work and stuff.
Yes,
I mean, he's like
Very advanced music.
That is
Anyway,
really cool.
so I had 5 girls. I still remember most of their names.
Helga.
Helga and Juji I've kept up with
Yes.
the most. Actually, Helga got me into German, so that's why I'm in German.
almost proficient.
So
Carolina?
Helga, Juji,
Carolina.
Catalina.
No,
Maybe.
Carolina. Like
no,
Caroline.
no, that was
Carolina.
kids.
No, she was in kids. I had her the next year.
Oh, okay.
I had her in
Let's see,
Tamara.
Helga,
and then,
Susie. Did you have Laura?
yes,
And Zoltan.
Laura, because she was. I remember her because she was. I don't want to sound weird or anything, but she was gothic looking, wore black and stuff. That's how I remember her.
Yeah.
Curly hair like me.
And
So
then-
that was 3.
and then
I
Zoltan.
had Zoltan,
the big kid.
who was Helga's classmate, and then I had one more.
I don't remember.
But I think I had to send her back, so I ended up with just the 4
yes.
because like she started slowing down. I may have sent her to
See,
you.
I remember,
don't remember.
guys. I remember faces better than I remember
Yeah.
names. So
Yeah.
if I ever forget your name,
She will remember
Please.
your face.
Well, I literally
Forgive
before
me.
this
I rem-
podcast
I'll
was
remember your
going,
face.
okay, who are these? Like I was running through pictures and just kind of
Right.
cramming
So
for a
I
final.
had no
Anyway.
translator, and Zoltan knew nothing, no English at all. Helga knew the most English, and she was also the most outgoing, so that's why
Yeah.
we became such fast friends.
Oh, she
but
was a pistol.
so she kind of
she
helped
was.
me. She kind of helped me translate, but still, there was a lot of hand signals over talking
Oh,
in
yeah,
that
it was
class.
fun. And then in our class,
we
man,
went through
we went through the
whole
entire
songbook.
book in 2 days.
Yep. And we came to mom like,
need
what do
help.
we teach these guys? Because I mean, most of these guys were musicians. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
they were already playing guitars.
There's several
and
of them
Piano,
all
that are
bass.
doing.
Yeah.
There's several
Violin.
of them that are in bands now.
Yeah.
And Nora actually has a single out that's a cover
Oh,
song on
wow.
YouTube.
Yeah, with
that's really
Well,
stuff
Hannah-
with her
With
husband,
her husband.
right.
which
Dennis-
we knew them when they were
Dennis-
engaged.
Yes, we did.
Dennis.
They weren't
we
married
knew
yet.
them
Well,
before they were engaged.
well, in fact, his
We
brother,
did
his
actually.
younger
His brother,
brother,
Mealy-
was
Mealy
in our
boy.
first.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Class.
the connection there. Okay,
Yes.
Anyway, but
can't picture his
it's
face.
just so cool to
I can't
see him now.
either, but anyway.
But you know what's funny is a cool story is one of the oldest students, Zoltan.
Yes.
He asked Jacob about learning a country song for
Yes.
the finale night, and he actually asked Jacob if he could play his banjo and kind of fiddle around with it. So, but we ended up he was playing guitar, I think it was.
I thought
Yes.
he played bass.
No, that was
Tomasz.
Tomasz. Well, let's see.
O says
Hold on,
O.
it's
in
been so
Hungarian,
long.
Joshua.
Zoltan,
Tomasz.
Tomasz, and
It's Tomasz.
It's Tomasz.
they called him Coco, I think it was.
Yeah,
but
he played
for now,
piano.
Yeah.
He and then also Mark also
Yeah.
played in there as well. And then I think
Mealy
that was
Boy
it.
played drums.
Right, Mealy Boy played drums. So that was,
Yes.
and then I think Christian was playing piano. I think all the other three were on guitars or whatever. Anyway,
Okay.
but we played Long Black Train. That was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I
So
remember
cool.
that.
Wow, it's been a while.
Help me remember.
Yes.
This
And
year
then
was
Northern.
also when the older couple came in midweek, who in their 60s.
I think that was.
They'd seen our concert
No,
and
I
wanted
think
to
that-
learn.
I think that was 2016.
That was
Yeah.
okay, and then
Because there's a
I'm
mixture
trying to
of
remember bits and
Germans,
pieces.
Croatian, Serbian, and English being
There was a little
mixed
bit
up
of
in that.
everything there.
I actually that older. I know this is getting a little bit ahead of ourselves,
it's okay.
but that older gentleman was an author, and he gave me his book. I still have it.
Right.
He was a
Oh,
Christian
wow.
author. I still have it. It's
we
called For
met
You
a lot
and
of
For
cool
Me.
people.
Anyway, so first Hungarian camp, what were you going to
well,
say?
I was going to talk.
Yeah, we
well,
haven't even
that
gotten to
was-
Mertes yet.
Sorry, but this
We're
is
trying
an
to
important
keep
3
it concise.
step.
hours
We really
later.
are trying.
No, okay. How did we meet the bluegrass band? Because they were there.
They
that
were
camp.
there. Zoltan.
Yeah.
Zoltan was friends with them,
Yeah.
wasn't he? Zoltan Yule, the
Right,
pastor. He
right.
was friends with them,
Right.
and he invited them down to
Perform with
perform
us, remember?
on finale night on Friday night.
Well,
wasn't it?
I thought they were there for the
yes,
camp, like
but they were
learning.
no
No,
for like the
maybe
first
the
couple,
first couple of
but
days.
no they I don't remember them on finale. No, they
No.
performed at the beginning of the camp.
Oh,
Remember,
okay.
we performed with them at Zoltan's church in
Right.
Pachir,
Yeah.
and then we performed with them, kind of introducing people to the camp and everything that night.
Right,
Started
I
more
remember
people.
that.
Anyway, so
I
That's
remember
how
that
that
now.
but
happened.
then, but
Because
yeah,
they
that
literally
was a
did play
Hungarian.
country bluegrass.
This
like
was a
folk.
Hungarian bluegrass
Yeah.
band.
Yeah.
It was really
Like,
cool.
Anyway.
like full. It was 5-piece, wasn't it?
Yes,
I
it
remember
was
bass,
Tomasz,
mando,
guitar.
guitar,
What was the
and
leader's
band.
name?
Was there a
The guy that
banjo
played
player?
ban-
It wasn't. I don't remember if it was a 5-string banjo though. Maybe
I don't remember there being.
No, there
it
was no banjo. It was a mandolin, fiddle, guitar,
bass.
bass.
and then some kind of like a
Washboard
washboard or
kinda
something
thing.
like
Yeah.
that.
So it was
yeah.
more folky,
Folkish.
but
But they
Still,
called
it's close.
themselves
But what was
bluegrass.
Call
the
themselves
guy's
bluegrass.
name that played the mandolin? And it was kind of the leader of the
Oh,
group.
shoot.
It started with
I
an
loved
L.
his
he
name.
was awesome too.
with the big beard and everything.
Yeah, he was cool.
Because I remember Tomasz because we met him and his family.
He
in
was the
Hungary.
Yes.
he was the guitar player, and then who was the young guy that played the fiddle that
I
really
don't
connected
know.
with John
I
Mark?
don't
I don't remember.
names.
We don't
It's
remember
been so
all their
long.
names.
It's sad.
But
Yeah.
that was cool.
That was cool.
Well, having
Because-
again learning the Hungarian culture a little bit and this part of Serbia, and again, always our heart was to connect with the kids and build that relationship.
Right.
And I remember 2 of the girls I worked with. They were the main ones I worked with. They might have been some of the only ones I worked with. I don't. I think I
Your
worked
group was
with
really
like,
small.
Mine was tiny. But they each gave me like a necklace. Like what
Aw.
this girl had like a bunch that her and her mom made,
Yeah.
and one gave me like a bouquet of flowers.
Yes, we got a lot of
It
gifts at
was
that
just
camp because
like-
again, this was just like Merch FC. They didn't know
Exactly.
if we would be back. So
Right.
And so just that again, that connection, and you're investing, and they look up to you, and anyway, so
Right.
It was really cool.
There's
Then-
some special memories in that.
Yeah. Then with the bluegrass band, after the camp was over,
yes,
they invited us to their church in Budapest
Yeah.
to
Yes.
play a
So we
concert
played in
Saturday
Hungary.
night. We played.
Yep.
So Mike drove us across the border,
Mhm.
and I remember the going over
Mhm.
and the border guard, opening the back of the van, and we had all our boots out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
And he's
remember
like,
that.
"Oh, Texas!"
It was hilarious.
go.
They're like,
which that is
"Yeah."
one cool thing is in Serbia they have mixed. I mean, we've talked about they
Oh, yeah.
had some feelings against Americans at one time, but
Oh, they
at,
love
at
Texans,
this
though.
point, in time, and I believe it still is, they have mixed feelings. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
It depends on who you're talking
I
to.
mean, it depends. But Texans,
They
Lord.
love
I mean,
Texans
they
The
because
cowboy.
of-
The cowboy
yes. Oh,
is
yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
love the cow. In fact, they think that all Texans are cowboys and ride around on
It's
horses and
so
wear boots and
funny.
hats and
And
stuff.
we're
It's
like,
funny.
yeah, this
We're
is
like,
not a
nah.
really.
And
That
this
doesn't-
trip,
no.
we really learned about traffic because they do not have a sense of staying in their car when there's
Oh my
traffic.
Well,
word.
because
They
But
will
they don't
get
have
out.
exits
They don't have
every.
exits.
They don't have
Exactly.
exits every.
We were
mile
on the
either.
Autobahn, so there's no other main road, and they were during the traffic. If there was
Well-
traffic, they would get out.
Well,
they
it
would play
was-
volleyball
It was peak season of traveling to
to Greece.
And that's
Right.
what everybody did. That's how these
That's their
Germans would
vacation
drive
spot.
at,
Well, not
from
just
wherever
Germans
they
either,
were.
from
well,
wherever they were
anybody,
from.
but it was mainly Germans because that was their main highway down
Yeah,
to
yeah.
their vacation spots and all that. But we performed our concert in right outside of Budapest.
Yes.
I cannot say the name of the town because it was
It was
this
Generosity
long.
or something.
Anyway.
like that.
It was
Yeah, something
Saturday
like
night.
that.
We performed it Saturday night, and we
Yes.
had a concert
Sunday morning
in
Novi Sad.
Novi
At
Sad,
9:00 in the morning.
which it's like 3 hours from
It was like
Moravica.
No, it was
No,
2
no, no.
hours.
2 hours
It's
from
2
the
hours
camp.
from Moravica.
It was longer than an hour.
Yes.
I'm sure right.
It was a couple
But
hours.
but
it was
we-
a couple hours from Moravica.
So, I remember after the concert, we had a meal and all that kind of stuff. We were hanging out with
We
the
were just
bluegrass band and all
talking.
that. And Mike comes up to mom and dad's like, "We got to go because the border crossing it is 6 hours." And so we packed everything up. We got just on the main road, and the traffic started right there. I mean, it
Yeah.
was crazy. And so mom's like, "Okay, we got to figure out a way to
Her
get out of
battery
there."
was running out
So
on her phone.
She found the other border crossing.
Right.
This
smaller one.
It was the smaller one. It was less. It
4
was
hours.
not. Well, it got to 4 hours because more cars showed up, but at the time it was definitely less than the other. So she brought it to Mike. Well, Mike was like, "No, this is the way. We are going this way." Basically,
No,
and
yes.
we got to the point where we were like right by that exit
the
because
last exit.
the last exit to go that, and we were all yelling at him, going, "Take the exit. We do not want
So
to
he
get
was like,
stuck in Hungary."
"Okay."
And
He,
so
like,
he
pulled
turned.
over.
So he turned onto the exit, started going, and about 5 minutes later, he turns to mom and goes like, "It's good," and we're
Thank
like,
you, Cindy.
"Thank you," but
Thank
then
you
we
for
ended
listening.
up 4
4
hours
hours
at
at
the
that
border,
border.
and
better
Abby
than
mentioning
6.
about these people. I mean, seriously. When they get stuck in traffic, they'll get
They will
out,
get
have a
out.
smoke, talk with their friends,
Play
and
volleyball
Play
over
volleyball
the
across
cars.
the cars.
or fall asleep. I mean, we had to get around a couple cars where the drivers
They
were
were just
asleep.
sleeping.
And so we finally got back to Moravica at
3
3
a.m.
o'clock in the
Yes.
morning.
And we had to
get up
leave
at 6.
6
At
and
6.
leave.
Yep.
Seriously.
So,
So
3
we
hours
played
of
Novi
sleep.
Sad. We played Novi
And
Sad on 3 hours of sleep.
We
Yep.
played Novi
We were
Sad
tired.
and Potty Now.
Because
I
we
mean,
had a
we
concert
were
that
Oh,
night.
man.
Remember that?
We
We
wow,
decided
I
to
forgot
do
about
2
that.
concerts that day.
and
but
we still
I
stayed up to
remember that.
like midnight or 1 because that other American team was there at the hostel and
Yeah.
right. So we were like, "Hey, party!"
It was hilarious.
I mean, it
Oh,
was
we were
but
shy.
Oh my
about
word.
Patina, cool story. This was our first time at Patina. We've
Yes.
been there
Yes.
2 or 3
We've
times.
been there twice.
Twice. Okay, so this was another Slovakian church.
Yes.
Um,
Slovakian Baptist Church, yes.
Usually, if it's a Baptist like church, building church, it's usually Slovakian.
Yeah.
Most Serbian churches are actually in houses or
Or
just
yeah.
city buildings or whatever.
Slovakians are more evangelical.
Well,
More-
they
More
have
than
more church
Serbia.
building
the
like
Slovakian
buildings.
people are more they were more Baptist,
Yeah.
more Reformed Calvinistic than
Yeah.
the Serbian people. The Serbian people are Orthodox
Right.
by generational religion
Yeah.
and stuff. So for them to leave the Orthodox church for the evangelical church was a big deal.
It was a big
Well,
deal.
no-
Which is why
Northern-
most of them were in house churches. But up in northern Serbia, your Hungarians were pretty evenly split
Catholic.
between Catholic
Yeah.
and Baptist.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you had your Slovakians, which were mostly Baptist.
Yeah.
And then you had your, what was the other group? There's another group. I don't remember. But anyway.
Well, that was
but
pretty
those are
much
the,
it.
you saw a lot, there were a lot more evangelical churches,
Right.
church buildings,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Right.
like not like what we would call
No,
a church
no,
building in
but just
America,
like
but
an
an
actual
actual building
building.
for the church.
They usually had a cross or something. Anyway,
Right. They would have something like
we performed.
Those were mostly Northern Europe.
Yeah.
Well,
Northern Serbia.
Serbia was more evangelical. I do
Than
remember
southern
that.
because southern is close to Kosovo. And anyway,
Yeah. Anyway.
So Padina, we performed there, and the pastor, we actually did not have a translator that night for the service part of it, obviously for our music. But anyway,
Darko was our translator that night.
for the concert. Anyway, I don't remember detail for detail, but Mama tells this story all the time. Is because the pastor, when he was introducing us and talking and stuff, and Mama didn't know how, but she would completely understood everything that he said because his face was literally shining. He was the sweetest
I
person, him
remember.
and his wife, and we really got to just see the spirit. And so Mama walked up to him after we performed with Darko so that she could actually communicate with him, and was just talking about that she saw the spirit in him and stuff like that. And he just gave her a big hug. It was just so cool. Again, what we've been talking about throughout this whole podcast, and kind of what the title is not only music is a universal language, but love is, especially God's love, just connecting us across cultures, across languages. And so we got to see that more and more every year. So that's just another cool story of how we just connected with other believers who don't have all the same resources as we do here in America. So they're hungry for that fellowship. And it was really special. So
It was
cool. That year we played Novi Sad, Padina, Erdevik.
was that our first year?
Bački
Was that
Petrovac.
first year at Belgrade Donko's church?
No, that was
next year.
2016.
See, I'm mixing up years.
So
You have to
we
go away
played
next
we
year.
played
was
Novi
one more
And Pericin
concert.
again too.
There was one more concert. It was an outdoor concert.
Pericin.
Pericin.
No.
Was
Because
that
that
the
was the
first-
first. That was the
the first community
time.
concert?
Yes.
Pericin.
Yes.
No, this was like a big stage. And it was
Oh,
almost in Romania.
that was Krupanya, Abby.
Oh, you're thinking Krupania.
And that was close
next
to
year,
both.
too.
No, that was 2015, but that
Oh.
was in between camps, which we shall get there. Anyway,
jumping
but
the gun.
sticking with the concert tour. Look at Abby. She's like, "Ugh."
No,
Anyway.
I remember there was an outdoor concert,
Right.
and I was going to
It's
get into
Yes.
it. Anyway,
Pericin
I will be
was the
back.
outdoor.
Forgive us for talking on top of each other.
Sorry.
Today.
No,
If you're a little
but we
perturbed,
did-
I'm a
we
little
did-
perturbed, and we'll just work through it together.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
Um.
so we did Novi Sad, we did Padina.
Yes.
Then we had our rest day because we desperately
We were
needed it.
so tired.
Then
Yeah.
we did Bački Petrovac.
Yes.
Then we did Erdevik. We did the church, and then we did the community outreach kind of deal that we did.
In Pericin or
It-
Erdevik?
no, in Erdevik. Remember that?
No.
They don't
Remember
remember.
that
That's
nugget?
okay.
That's
Anyway,
good. What?
then Friday. You remember
We
that
did
nugget?
too. I thought we did the community thing like in the morning where we played in the market and then Erdevik at night.
Yeah, I think you're
well,
right.
maybe I don't remember. All I remember from that place was sleeping with Jacob on a couch in 95-degree weather.
That was
That
meant for
was
one
awful.
person.
That was awful.
That couple. We stayed at
Sweetest
people's
couple.
home. Sweet couple, and of course they throw me with the couple that doesn't know any English
Because
I
Jacob
know
knows
enough
Serbian.
It was fun. They were really sweet. But the couch we slept on, I think you eventually slept in the recliner.
No.
did we-
We slept in both
Okay.
nights.
But he slept one way
Lord.
and I slept the other because we could not fit side by side with
With
both
your
of us
shoulders.
facing the same
Okay,
way.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was literally as wide as this table.
Yes.
Yeah.
That time at Erdevik, Naomi and I stayed at a house, a sweet family.
Yes.
We really got only to meet the daughter and the mother.
We did meet the husband
We
once.
but he
that was
was
an interesting
working-
experience.
He was working outside a
Yes,
lot.
but that's when we knocked on the door and he opened it shirtless and we're like, "Hi."
Oh,
Oh,
That
that's
was,
funny.
Let's just say Serbian older gentlemen don't care.
it
No,
was funny.
some- Sometimes.
It's just
Sorry.
the way they live, what they're used to, and we weren't used to.
Yes, it was funny.
Anyway, but it was funny. But the daughter knew
Andrea.
English. Andrea
Yes.
knew. She's married now. We keep up with her a little bit.
She's
every now and
actually
then.
in Slovakia. They moved.
Yes, but they have a baby.
Yes, and so cute.
now.
Anyway,
So cute. Anyway, sorry. She knew English.
Yes.
and so she helped us. Just again being able to stay in the Serbian family's homes was
Right.
really a cool experience.
Right.
Another connecting factor that we had
Right. And
got
to
have with
another
the people
funny
of Serbia.
story or cool story actually. So we got in late the night before. So we just met Andrea the night before.
Right.
Her parents were in bed already. So we slept in late, whatever. The mom had breakfast ready and stuff. And we, come downstairs after showered or whatever. And we're sitting at the table with Andrea. And her mom comes in and asks me a question in Serbian. And without thinking, I answered it because I don't know how. I just knew what she was talking about. And I've had a few more experiences like that where I don't have to think. But that was just really funny because both of them, like everyone looked at me and I was like, I was just answering her question.
Well, I looked at her because I'm like, I never only got past a few words.
Right.
I mean, I would get stuff like "izvini," which means "excuse me."
Yes.
I remember first year back that I actually said that to someone on the plane. I was so used to saying it.
Right.
To, like,
We would
excuse
say thank you in
myself.
Serbian a lot too because we were just so used to it.
Yeah.
And
Hvala.
some Serbian
Hvala.
words are quicker and easier to
Yeah.
say than English. So
Yep.
I still will throw out a word in Serbian because it's quicker.
Right, exactly. Anyway,
It's just easier
so
to say.
we did that.
Anyway.
Then we did the outdoor concert in Perigee. Now, cool story about that was originally we were still going to play at the church
Right.
like we did the year before,
Mhm.
but we went to that restaurant and the guy
Well, no,
owned-
hang on. The church had been flooded because they had floods that
That
year.
was the bad
We
flooding
weren't-
that year.
They had real bad
Right.
flooding that year, so we couldn't play in the church.
Mhm.
So, what was his name? Kreshimir arranged for us to play in one of the government buildings there in town.
Yes.
And
Which we still did.
he wanted to do one outside, but he couldn't find anyone.
Right.
So,
But
Plus, you
to
need
Joshua's
a permit
story where
and
he-
stuff.
Right. So we went to this restaurant, and if you've ever seen our family pictures, we all wear the same shirt wherever
Right.
we go. We've
Uh-huh.
done that for years.
Yes.
Anyway, so we walk in, we're all wearing the same shirt. Darko and his family there, and Krishimir's family are there. Anyway, so the owner, wasn't it the owner?
Mhm.
The owner of the restaurant comes up to Darko and Kreshimir and asks, what's the deal?
Who are these
Who are these
people?
people all wearing the same shirt? And they explain we're an American family band, came over to do mission work and play concerts and yada, yada, yada. And anyway, apparently he owned the local TV station
Yes.
and a cafe in downtown.
Yes.
Right.
And so after we were done at the government building where we were originally supposed to play, he wanted us to come down to his cafe and play a little bit as well.
it was going to be the first
We are the first
community concert ever in Perigee.
We're the first live music band to play live music in downtown Perigee. In
Yep.
its
And they
district,
had the
whatever.
TV there
they
and
had
everything.
the TV station.
Oh, yeah, it was cool.
2015 was when we really started getting on the local news.
Yeah.
Right,
and
exactly.
national too.
And even national. That was more 2016.
That was more.
Yes,
that was
but
more local.
it
The
started
national
in
2016.
2015.
Right.
But it was so that TV experience, something we weren't. I mean,
Yeah.
some of us were a little familiar with it.
Well, they
with
did it-
The youth banjo band,
And
that we
they did
were
it
a
in
part of.
Moravice and Hungary too.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
Yes, they did.
The TV.
Anyway,
stuff.
Oh yeah,
anyway,
I do remember that.
but
So,
so the cool thing about that particular concert is a guy came up to me and was like, in perfect English, I loved y'all's music. Y'all were great. I'm a big
Did he
fan of
say
blue.
y'all?
No, not
No,
that.
he didn't
but
say y'all.
I'm
That's
a
just how
big,
we talk.
I'm a big bluegrass fan. Love the music, and he started naming all these names, and
know.
I was like, wow, like Dole Lawson, Del McCurry,
Bill Monroe.
Bill Monroe, all
That
these,
is
and you're
cool.
going, that's great,
That's
man.
awesome, man.
Thanks.
So anyway, it was just so cool. It was such a fun night. And then Saturday we rested in Niche and then traveled to Camp Merchevsky to start the
Yes.
camps.
This,
So,
and
And-
we did something different this year. This was
Yes.
the first year we decided to split the camps in Merch FC
Yes.
because we wanted to give more kids the opportunity to
Yes.
come,
Right.
and we wanted to separate the kids and teens.
Yes,
Right.
because
So
the
that
kids could
kids
get intimidated.
so the kids wouldn't get intimidated and the teens wouldn't get lazy.
Right.
So we had kids camp first.
Yes.
So we had from
It was
6 to 12-ish.
It may have been 11 and then 12 and up.
And then 12 and up. I think
No,
you
I
might
think
be
it was
right.
6 to 12.
Well, we
'Cause
had
we
a
did have
couple.
a few
we had a
12-year-olds
few
in the
that were
team.
brother and sister that their parents didn't want them to split
Okay,
up.
so
and
we were
they
kind of
were
lenient on the 12
older.
years old.
Yes.
If they had a sibling in that group
Yes.
that their parents didn't want them to split up, we allowed that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was 6 to I think it was 6
12.
to 12, and,
And
then
then
13 and up
To I think
to 17 or 18.
no, I think it was 16.
Was it 16?
It may have been
no,
18.
it was 18
Was it
because we had a
18?
couple of 17-year-olds.
Okay. Because that was the year that we had the big group from Kupanya, which we will get there later.
Ali Bunard.
Ali Bunar.
But it's close to Kupanya, guys. I couldn't
No,
remember the exact.
That's on the other side of
They're
the
on opposite ends
opposite
of
ends
This
of
the
is
country.
why I do not do geography. Anyway,
Ali Bunard was
Anyway.
close to the Romanian border.
Yes.
okay, because a lot
They're-
of them were darker. Yeah, I
They
remember
were
that.
Romas, if I remember correctly.
Most
Or maybe
of them.
maybe had a little bit of like
Yes.
part of their ancestry. on it.
Yeah, something like
yes,
that.
but also some slight
Romanian.
Romanian in
Yes.
them
And
as well.
so Krupania is on the other side near
'Cause
Bosnia.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
and speaking of Krupania, we did that between
Is there anything
camps.
we want to talk about kids camp? Because that year everything
Well,
was so blurry because
so
we had
the
so
cool
much.
thing,
Donnie.
Donnie,
Yes.
my favorite person in. Well, actually, sorry, Donnie, my second favorite person in Serbia. My favorite person came, I believe, that year, possibly. No, it was 2016, Yakov, and we will get there. Anyway, but as
Joshua
far
doesn't
as
really have
teams-
favorites. He just has some closer than others.
Well, Yakov is my best friend, hands down.
right.
Yes, but anyway, but Don,
I thought Mom was your
Donnie.
best friend.
Wow, what happened to
Wow!
I had to say that. I had
My
to
age,
say that.
lady.
Wow.
That's funny.
No.
Anyway,
I was
Donnie.
thinking
Yes.
the same.
And he was this year he was only there at kids camp.
Yes.
But he
Right.
promised us at the end that he'd be at both
Both.
camps.
See, I
Because he
wanna-
loved working with us and we loved working with him.
He was
this man, young man, gentleman, I'm sorry.
He's 34. Well, what are we whispering
No,
about?
she's okay.
Okay, cool.
Is probably the closest I've ever seen to our own mom
Yes,
in another person.
I agree.
I think he understood our heart and
Yeah.
his heart was aligned with that. He was never about the numbers. He just wanted to be there with the kids, build relationships with the
Yeah.
kids
Mhm.
and just, serve however he could. Funny thing though, I didn't get to work with him much that year
Okay.
because half of kids camp,
Right.
I was out.
Abby had strep
Oh,
throat.
yeah, you
got
had strep throat. I remember that.
2015. And
Yep.
at first we thought it was thrush.
Thrush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Or
I had
thrush. Thrush or thrush?
thrush or thrush.
It's
don't know.
thrush.
Thrush.
Anyway, I had white
Something.
spots in the back of my throat. I felt it because I knew it was an outside concert. I was trying to remember. It was an outside concert, and I started just feeling it in my. I could sing, but it would catch at weird times, and I was like, I don't know
that was
what's going
Paraching.
on
I
here.
remember that.
Anyway, so I was out. I got a high fever. I remember.
Oh yeah.
And
It
so
was Abby's first
It was
trip
my
to a foreign
first-
doctor.
I've had like 2 or 3 trips to a foreign doctor.
Yeah.
Which is actually a really cool experience, by the way. I like it. I like the experience because, they're kind of straight up, straightforward.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't have to have a check back. I just went once. She checked me over, gave me medicine. The medicine worked. I
And
did
we're
what she
good.
told me to do, and we're good. That's it.
But
went
sweet,
over.
sweet story is
Yeah.
we if you don't mind me talking.
So I was in our room for 3 days.
Stuck in bed.
remember
I checked
that.
on you a lot.
Yeah.
But
But
so
sweet story.
we
So
were
did several of
talking
the other
about
kids.
exactly.
we were talking about where Abby was because some of the kids had seen pictures and stuff because Merch FC was promoting the music camp and stuff. It was the most popular camp besides sports camp, I believe,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. Sports camp and music camp, those are the big 2 of the year at Merch FC by then. And so we were talking where Abby was, just explaining she was sick, that hopefully she'd be out soon and stuff like that. And some of the kids would go and check on Abby. And one sweet boy, we recently reconnected him, at least me, on Instagram and Facebook. Bonnie, his sister.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Ivana.
You-
Ivana.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ivana.
Sister.
Well, she was a volunteer and translator.
She was in
No, not a
20. She
translator.
came in 2016.
She
I
wasn't there that
know.
year?
No.
Oh, never mind. I'm mixing up years
Yeah,
again.
2016.
Anyway, but Bonnie.
That's his sister anyway. That hasn't changed.
No,
Yeah.
she's still a sister. Anyway, Bonnie checked on you the most, right? And brought you
Well,
a card, right?
I remember a group of girls brought me a card with, they had one of the crafts they were doing for that year was like a pendant or something, like a medallion type thing.
Yeah.
It was basically a metal ring that they painted. But they gave me one with a card and, saying, I hope you feel better. And then Bonnie gave me his as well with like a personal card.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
cool.
I have kept at least Bonnie's. I think I kept the girls.
We've kept
too.
a lot of trinkets.
And
from
so-
Wow. Are you serious?
Yeah, I still have it.
That's
I'm like,
cool.
I'm not letting that go because that was just a sweet.
It was really
It was
sweet.
a sweet memory.
And so then you came out, your first time was at one of the evening
I
things.
think it was
Was it
Wednesday night.
Wednesday or Thursday?
I think it was Wednesday because I
Wednesday?
remember being like out for 3 days. I came out and then
You rested
Thursday
another
and
day.
Friday. No, Thursday and Friday.
Or
I
you were
was-
good? Okay,
yeah,
so
good.
she
told me to rest 3 days.
Yeah. And then her fever
So
broke.
Monday,
And
Tuesday,
so
Wednesday.
that night,
Yep.
so we're going to say Wednesday night because, again, we don't remember details very well.
Details.
Well, it was hot dog night, if I
yeah.
remember correctly.
So
You came out.
Abby
so that
came,
was Wednesday night.
Yes.
Had to come
so
out for the hot
Abby
dogs.
came out, and well, on hot dog night, we don't all eat at the dining area. We spread out over camp and stuff. So not everyone saw Abby. Abby was with me and whoever I was with. And so not everyone had seen Abby yet. So we, on the evening devotion, evening activity stuff, Abby came out and everyone like cheered and it was so sweet.
It
No,
was
yeah,
Anyway.
so sweet.
Hey, speaking of American night, there's one thing that we haven't talked about,
What's that?
Yes.
and that's morning exercises before
Oh my word.
Oh, yeah.
the quiet time. So we would do some sort of dance or something like that for
Yeah.
morning exercises before they would break up into small groups before breakfast.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Before
so
quiet time. Yeah.
before they would they would get up, clean the room, make it all up, and then do the morning exercises. Then they'd break up into small groups for quiet time, and then we'd have breakfast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the morning exercises for American night, whatever, was the Cotton Eye Joe. We
Yes.
taught them the Cotton Eye Joe
the Cotton Eye
dance.
Yeah.
Joe. And then they kept practicing it all week. It was awesome.
It was fun.
It was
So,
fun.
and another cool person that was there was, we mentioned Sneža.
Yes.
Well, she came back.
In 2014.
Yeah.
She did come back in later years, but her brother
Yes.
was at the
Huzzah.
kids camp in 2015.
He-
He
Oh, my word.
Oh, he was a hoot.
That's
Remember the
awesome.
last night he dressed up as
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah.
And Donnie dressed up as Mr. T.
He tried playing my
that was,
uke bass. It didn't go
Oh,
very
man,
well.
I
Remember-
can't
No, it
picture
didn't.
his face.
Because, well, remember they
Curly.
did the,
Curly head.
Curly head.
Okay.
Round face, freckles, black hair.
if I showed you a picture and
You
you
would
would recognize
remember.
him.
Oh,
And
okay, she does now.
no, don't you remember the last night both he and
And
Donnie
Donnie?
did, because that was the first time we heard the digital version
Of Cotton Eye
of
Joe.
Yeah.
Cotton Eye
Yes.
Joe. So they
Did a dance
and
routine to it. It was so
hilarious.
funny. The kids were dying laughing.
Oh, it
so
was
funny.
That
awesome.
is hilarious.
Anyway.
I remember that.
Anyway, so again, I just building those relationships with the
Yes.
kids. I
So
think
last
we always
funny
go back to
story
that.
about kids camp, real quick, before we move on to Krupania
Do it.
and teens. So a lot of the kids in kids camp would eventually come into teen camp.
Right.
Especially that year, a lot of them were at that 11, 12 age range. And that year also my hair started curling. It did it at 13, but it really went full curl mode in 2015.
Right.
And so I would wear my hair wet in the morning. And the kids usually showered at night. So I was usually the only one with wet hair. And then before I threw it up in a ponytail for the day, it would be down all through morning devotions. And the girls would sit behind me and just bounce my hair because curly hair is very rare over there in Serbia, as is blue eyes. So they would always like stare at our eyes or play with my hair. Because mama would go curly, but this was it wasn't before her hair started getting, her hair
yeah.
was still unhealthy from cancer before she started going keto and stuff. So she often
Right.
had it in a ponytail and had a cap on. But I don't like hats. So my hair was out and they would be playing with it during morning devotions.
That's
And I'm like, as
funny.
long as you're listening, you can keep playing with my hair. But it was just so funny and sweet. And they
That's
would
funny.
continue to do it for as long as I was there. It was so funny. Anyway,
That is
so
funny.
sweet story.
So there
So
you go.
between
Aw.
camps,
Yes.
there it was I can't remember if there's a mission organization, not CEF, but something
it's the
similar.
Baptist Association, something.
Something.
Of Serbia.
T.
Yes.
Something T.
T,
Sorry, we
yes.
just watched Cars
Funny.
last night or the night before.
It was
I don't know. Anyway.
it was a Baptist association.
Yeah. Anyway, and they were ministering, doing mission work among the Bosnian and Serbian people there on the Serbian border with Bosnia. A lot of Muslims in that area.
Mhm.
Right.
And so he called Darko and said, "No, you got that family with you that plays music. Why don't y'all come out and do a concert?" And so we did. Darko drove us out there, and they wouldn't allow us to pass out Bibles, because if they did, they'd have to allow the Muslims to pass out the Quran, and they didn't want to deal with that. So,
Yeah.
Right.
so we couldn't do any of the typical evangelism
Yeah.
stuff.
It was just
but,
music.
But we played our music, and we were actually, if I remember right, weren't we given something like at the end?
Yeah, they presented us
something.
with something. We
think,
still
yeah.
have it.
Remember.
I know we still
Somewhere.
have it,
It's
like
somewhere.
a plaque or
Yeah.
certificate or
Yeah.
something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
it was really cool.
It was
We-
that was probably the biggest concert then to date, because
Yes.
we got bigger in the following years, but there was a lot of people. It
There
was
was.
it was right outside the Civic Center
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It was huge, and it was a lot of fun.
But do you know what's so cool about that was the time we almost got lost.
Oh,
Darko-
yeah.
Oh,
Darko
yes.
lost because seriously, Krupania is on the Bosnian border, way out there,
Right.
And so getting back to normal roads took a while.
In
It
the
did.
dark. It was on the way
in
back,
dark.
right?
We did not get back until 3 a.m.
It was
Oh,
late.
wow.
Yeah, but Darko
Thankfully-
eventually did get us back.
It was
Thankfully, the
awesome.
next day was just preparing for the next camp.
Right.
Yes.
Anyway.
Which would
Well,
be teen camp.
2015
2015
teen camp.
teen camp.
We split this up by cabins. We split up the groups by cabins.
Yes.
That is right.
Yes.
We had 2 boys' cabins
And
and
two
2 girls'
girls'
cabins,
cabins.
and each one of us,
The 4 oldest.
the 4 oldest,
Yes.
got a cabin.
What was Mom and Joe Mark doing though?
Shoot.
Did they get the ones
I
that
don't remember.
were?
I think they got.
think
we
they got the
started that
teachers.
way.
Remember?
Oh, they did
They
the
did the
teachers that year,
teachers, yes.
right? Because Jamarca and Donnie hit it off. Those two
Yeah,
together.
that's when they really started
but
that
Donnie
relationship.
wasn't
But Donnie
part of
wasn't
it.
you
there.
got
Oh, I'm
Jacob
thinking
got
2016
Dennis
again.
and
Dang it.
David's room.
Yes.
I got
Wait for part two.
Darko's and Martine's room. Martine, Anna's
Martin
brother.
Lohman,
Yes.
Anna's
The
brother
first
from the first
year.
year.
Oh,
And
Remember.
then Abigail got
I remember I
uh,
had.
Was it Tabitha?
Stephanie. Oh,
Was it Tabitha or no?
no, was it? It was
Yours was
Ruzhinka.
Estera and
Naja.
Naja.
Yes,
Naja's-
those
I
two.
think Abby
Whose
got
room?
Ruzhinka and
yes, and shoot, who was the girl?
Sophia.
Yes,
Sophia.
The guy's daughter.
the guy's
Yeah.
daughter.
Right. So the
Oh,
director
yes,
of the
yes, yes, yes,
Baptist
yes.
Association,
I
his
know.
like his associate, his like right hand man, for lack of a better word. I don't remember what his title was.
Yeah.
He told us after Krupanya during the meal or whatever, after the concert, that his daughter Sophia was going to be teaching music theory
Yes.
that year because for some reason Naja Daniel's mother wasn't there.
She was at the kids camp, but she couldn't be.
She
at
couldn't
the
make the teen camp. So
Yeah.
Sophia was teaching music theory that year.
Yes.
And also Estera, she is William's sister.
Right.
Yes.
And Dennis is her husband, and then Nacho lives in the same town with them, and same as David. They were all from the same town, and
Yeah.
like played music together and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They-
yes.
that
That was the
They were.
first year we had. I mean, some of the kids. There was a few kids that play drums or guitars or some kind of stuff, but that was the first camp that we had an actual
Praise music.
praise
Yeah.
band kind of
Yeah,
thing. 'Cause
it was
Dennis
really
played
cool.
electric guitar.
Yeah.
Esther and Naja sang. Davi played the drums. William
William
would
played
play
piano.
the keyboard.
It
And
was
I would
really
play
cool.
bass. That
It was
a lot
really
of
cool.
fun.
And they
and
are
I played
so-
banjo.
Yeah.
It was like praise band plus banjo.
Banjo.
It was a
Banjo
lot
in
of fun.
there.
That really, you're right. I remember that now. We really, because every year after that, we would just piece together teens who were willing to serve in that
Yeah.
capacity.
And we did it at kids camp. We'd have a praise. No. Or would we do
did not do.
tracks
We did not do that until. Yeah, we usually did tracks
for the kids.
for the kids.
But
And
teens,
teens was a
we
praise
would
band.
piece
We had a
together.
praise band. It
But
was.
Anyway.
really quick, cool story on Esra and her husband, and she was not able to have kids. This is a few years in advance. I'm just giving you all updates, so you get to know who we're working with, because we only worked with them 2 years, right?
Yes.
That's right.
But they were amazing. I loved having her and Naja. So they were not able to have kids, so they adopted twin girls.
Yes.
Which I believe they're like 4 or 5 now,
Yeah.
because they adopted them as babies. But then a couple years ago, she got pregnant and they had a son. So now they have 3, as far as I know. So
That's
really
pretty
cool
cool.
story.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
We were praying for them for a while, just
Yeah.
those health issues and stuff like that. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Those were
I
they were fun.
remember
Sorry.
at the camp, Martina. Okay, Martina was in my the cabin.
Uh-huh.
Is this
I was
Christian
in-
years?
The pastor's
Krishamir's
daughter.
daughter.
Krishamir's
Yes,
daughter.
okay.
Anyway, and the 2 years before, we hadn't really connected. She was very
She was interesting.
bubbly and outgoing in a way that sometimes was not self-controlled.
It could be
Let's just
obnoxious.
say it could be
Yeah.
obnoxious. Anyway, but I saw her grow so much in 2015. I remember that's one highlight. I still sometimes memories fuzz together. And again, I was still young. And so, I can't imagine how much I would get out of something now if
Yeah,
I did it
know.
as a
Yeah,
young
I
know.
adult,
Yeah.
because I feel much more alert into like what I'm doing and
Right.
stuff like that. Whereas, I was a very quiet person. I still am a very quiet person
Yeah, that hadn't
around
changed.
other people in
Right.
public. I'm not very quiet at home, by the way, just so y'all know.
She's not.
I don't know. It's
I'm
just
with her.
crowds get to me sometimes.
Yes.
I can, anyway, but I do remember that one where I saw her really take to, the ukulele and just like, just become a very pleasant person to be around, actually. And so it's really cool to see the growth of the students you've worked with,
Right.
and not only their growth in music, but also their growth as a person. Anyway, that year was the first year we gave out special ukuleles.
That is correct.
That is
Right.
Because I
correct.
remember I gave her one, and it was just, we always gave out like blue. I think we had purple one.
White. We had white.
purple
No,
was
white.
purple
Romania.
was Romania.
Blue, white.
I think that's it. Blue
White
or
was
white.
it? White. Well, whoa, hang on. What color did we did some brownish natural color at the Hungarian camp,
Right.
and then we did white. I think
We started
Is that the
blue,
white?
but I think we did white just
The s-
because that was the only one
The
available.
special ukuleles we did was either they were dark brown or the blonde.
Or the
They were a
blondie.
little
Yeah.
nicer ukuleles.
They were the
And-
ukuleles that we used to teach with.
Yes, exactly.
Because we didn't want to take away, because we were having so many students that year from doing 3 different camps. We didn't want to take away from a student's ukulele. So we bought ukulele specifically for us to teach. And they were a little nicer since we were teaching from them and stuff. And then mom had the idea there in Serbia, right?
Yeah.
Or before.
Right.
I don't
No,
remember
in
when.
Serbia.
In Serbia,
that-
she had the idea, since that was the last camp, instead of us taking those back to the States with us, she had
To
the idea
give
to give
them-
them to an excelling students,
We
not
had
only
8,
music,
so-
but character as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 2 from each cabin. And I
Yes.
remember Martina was one of the ones I gave it to. And just that, again, that encouragement to them, that we see
Mhm.
what they're doing, we see them growing.
Right.
And so I think that was a really cool thing we added in 2015.
Yeah.
And that year really extended our time over there.
It
in
was
whole. It was like 5
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
Which
5
I have a
weeks.
question.
Yes.
Because I keep mixing up years. Was Darcy and Abby teen camp or kids camp?
Kids camp.
Kids camp. Okay,
They were
so we are
kids
going to
camp.
backtrack
So Darcy and
Yes.
Abigail were
Yes.
kids camp the first 2 years, and then teen camp
camp
the last
last-
in 2017. They weren't at
because
2018.
they were in the States. Okay, so we're going to backtrack real quick to kids camp. Another missionary family we got to meet. We met them like for that long
2013.
in 2013,
Yes.
but we got to know them more in 2015. I don't know if we ever saw them in 2014, but they're the Hepners. They're
No.
from Georgia, right?
They're from
Yes.
Georgia.
They're from Georgia. They're actually one of the reasons we learned Devil Down Georgia, because we wanted to play it for them. Anyway, but that was not that year. See, I
don't
do remember
remember
that
that.
wasn't that year. Okay. I just remember us dedicating it to them when we
Yeah,
played
I
for the first
remember
time
that now.
overseas. Anyway, so their 2 daughters, they are only 2 daughters at that time. It was before they had
Emma.
what's Emma?
Emma?
Mhm.
Emma.
I think that's right.
Emma's like 4 now, right? 3 or
Something
4.
Like that.
She wasn't born in 2015.
They have like, what, 8 kids?
Seven, I think.
7. Yeah, because they were like so excited they passed
Yeah, it's
the
another
Sowells,
large family.
Or the kids were, the parents don't care. But anyway, they wouldn't, they're not that way. Anyway, the parents are
no,
amazing.
they're very sweet. very
Josh
sweet.
is huge, mountain man looking guy. Anyway,
Linebacker. He's a football
he was
linebacker.
football.
okay,
Football
cool
player.
story about him. His ministry is with the Serbian football, like American football, not
He's
football as
he's
in
the head
soccer.
coach.
He's the head coach of
And they
their
are the
team.
best in
They
Europe.
are. Wonder why. But anyway, so Josh Hepner and then Kristen Hepner, right?
Yes.
And then their kids. And we met Darcy and Abigail and Darcy. 'Cause
Yes.
Abigail was older. They came at
Kids camp.
So
20
that
kids
was really cool to meet them and watch them grow up a few years before. And now we look at pictures and they're like both taller than Abby and I are.
Yeah,
Because
Abigail's
their
like,
dad
what,
is
18?
6, whatever.
Abigail's like,
Oh.
well, Josh is 6'3".
Yes, and Dane is
And Dane
taller
is
than
like
him.
6'5".
Dane is the oldest.
Dane is the oldest.
We
He's
met him a
6'5".
couple times.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they're like growing up.
Abigail and Darcy are probably in the 5'8" to 5'9"
Yes.
range.
So that was fun to get
Anyway.
to, because they didn't know Serbian that well. They're probably a lot better now. But so that was really cool to have other American kids, but
Yeah.
missionary kids
Yeah.
at the camp.
So blunt.
She was
Oh,
so
Lord.
blunt.
Tie
Mom would
into-
actually tell me 3 positive things before you want to tell me whatever negative thing
Well,
it
and
is.
I really didn't get to connect with them 2015 because they were in my class when I
They were in my
actually
class.
was teaching those 2 days. So, but there's some other cool memories in
There
the
are a
later
lot
years
of
that we'll get to.
fun. Yes.
Right.
Anyway, so that was kids camp, and then really quick about what Abby was mentioning, just seeing the growth, personally through all of that. Abby talking about how she was really quiet and stuff, and we were like together all the time,
Right.
unless I was running around somewhere else. But I just felt so natural in Serbia. I can't explain it. It's not as drastic now that I think about it, but when I was actually there, it felt very drastic. Like I could be completely myself, because they didn't care. They just wanted to spend time with me. I
Right.
was there to connect with them and fellowship with them. And that really, I'm still working on the whole being comfortable in my own skin part, still working on it at 21.
I think
But I
we'll be
just
working
remember
on it for the rest of our
lives. But I just
Right.
remember those weeks in Serbia. I didn't have to worry about it because I didn't care, because that wasn't why I was there. I wasn't there to impress anybody. So that just starting that journey, it was really cool. So
Right.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, so we had the kids camp, teen camp. Everything went so well. I mean, it was
Yes.
just great. And then we finished out that trip playing a concert in Niche.
Right.
yes,
And
that was
playing
the
for
first
that
year we
city
did that.
for that city cafe, and that was just a lot of fun and
Oh,
everything.
yes.
So to wrap it up for part 1, I don't know
I
how
don't know how
long
long
we've
this
been
is,
at
but
this,
I don't
but
know.
my goodness. Anyway,
We may have to split this one.
we-
It is
we-
almost 1 o'clock.
we will figure that out, y'all. But we appreciate y'all listening to the whole thing. If you made
Yes.
it through all the information
we
that we
split it
spilled
up,
out,
thanks for listening to both parts.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all. Anyway, but last thing to wrap it up. So we get back home
yes.
from our mission trip, and the first concert that we played, it was about a week after we got back.
Yes.
It was the Sunday before Labor Day.
That's
If I
right.
remember right. And we were playing at Katy First Baptist.
That's right.
And that Sunday, their pastor
And music minister.
had left to, fulfill other callings or whatever, Anyway, so they had called this Romanian pastor
Yes.
to fill in that Sunday because he was in the States and everything,
Right.
he and his family. And so it happened to be that Sunday that we
Yes.
performed.
Yes.
So we performed, and then he got up
And
and,
he preached.
preached and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so we met the Mihok family,
Yes.
Pastor Teo and his wife Kami,
Daniela
and Emmy.
Emmy.
And so
Sorry, he was a
we
hoot.
talked about because we had just gotten back from our mission trip, so we
Right.
were talking
yeah.
about our mission trip and asking for funds to help us go to go back next year. And Pastor Teo was very interested in that, like, wow, this family does that. So he came up to mom and dad and expressed interest in having us come to Romania
Yep.
to do music camps because they do
kids camps.
and all
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And he just put that offer out, so we started praying about it, and we're
To
like,
be
hey,
continued.
let's do it. So that
That
To
shall
hear
be
that
part
story,
2.
that shall be part 2 or 3, depending on what
Yeah. I
we
don't know
end
how
up
we're gonna do
doing.
this.
we're gonna figure this out. But we appreciate y'all listening to this podcast. And if you want to hear more, subscribe. And if
Yes.
you are on YouTube, subscribe. And you know what you need to always do? Subscribe. Because that
And
really helps
share.
us out. Anyway.
Share with your friends and
Share
family
with your
because
friends, family,
we're just
enemies.
here talking.
All
Anemones.
means family. Just
Right.
kidding.
Oh,
Anyway,
Lord.
well, not kidding, but yes.
We love y'all.
Anyway,
Thank you for sticking with us
Yes.
through the end. And we'll see you.
and we shall return for the
See
next
y'all.
part.
Well, you'll hear from us next time.
Exactly.
Yes.
We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And we'll see ya in the next episode. And as always,
Peace, love, fam.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions or standard of the family Sowell.
Have a lovely day.